My name is Emily Ionelli, and I'm taking a video actually in my car because it's hard to do videos at home with the kids up. I am trying to sort out things in my life, and I have some major issues that I'm dealing with currently, and I find it comforting when I am able to go out. Sometimes I like to see movies. I definitely like when my son comes home and we go out together. Last night was a bit difficult because my son, sometimes I love my son, but sometimes it's hard to get him to understand that I am living on a fixed income. So it's very hard for him to accept that sometimes when he asks for something, I just can't buy it. And I've given in to him in the past, but I can't always let him get away with that. I know I am not the picture for parenting, but I know that being a parent takes a lot of responsibility, and you try your best to aim your efforts in helping your child as best you can. When you're dealing with a child who's autistic, it's a more challenging lifetime struggle. I can't put into words sometimes the emotional pain that I feel for my son with his challenges that he's going to face in the world as an autistic adult. I've dreaded this all my life, and now it's becoming reality, as I'm very proud of my son. He graduated his residential school. He's 18. He graduated on time. He received a local diploma, and although I had originally wanted him to get a Regents diploma, I can't force the issue. You know, he tried his best, and that's all we could hope for. But I am worried for my son. We've had struggles and haven't seen eye to eye in many instances, but I am trying my best to help my son and support him. I also am concerned about our future, especially living in Long Island with the property taxes so high, and being that I am unable to work due to my disability. Mental illness is a legitimate disability. I struggle with it, and I take medication. I have bouts with bipolar disorder, and if you haven't experienced the highs of highs and the lows of lows, you wouldn't understand what it's like to have bipolar disorder, where one day you could feel like you're flying high as a kite, and everything is perfect. And then another day, you feel like you just want to die. And it's unfortunate, but those are things I deal with every day. I don't know if I'm going to have a good day or a bad day. And a lot of my psychological issues also are the result of what's going on in our current situation with our country. I've expressed in many of my writings how displeased I am with our government currently in our president's administration. I am not a Trump supporter. In fact, I can't stand this guy. And I am afraid that he and the Republicans are going to make our lives very difficult, especially people who have struggles, people who are mentally ill, people who are disabled, people who are elderly, people who are poor, women who have health issues and concerns about their bodies, people of minority backgrounds and minority religious backgrounds. I just think that we're in a very murky waters now, and it seems like we're going down in our reputation with other foreign countries who were once our strongest allies. Our president has demeaned what the White House and government stands for and what the position of president stands for. And I am befuddled by people who still support him when he is nothing but a liar who spreads hate and propaganda and consistently bashes the media and says that the media is lies, and he had the audacity to ask a question of the states when he demanded that they surrender their polling results, all the polling voters' background information, which is unconstitutional, as that should be held sacred and personal. Yet he refuses to release his tax returns, and he has the audacity to state to the states, what do they have to hide? Well, I'm wondering the same question with regard to Trump and his tax returns. What do you have to hide, Trump? How come you don't release your tax returns? You seem to have this idea in your head that you're above the law and that you can get away with anything. But you'll have your day. Believe me, you'll have your day. You just don't do things like firing the head of the FBI just because you don't want to be discovered in a probe where you have involvement, and it's clearly obvious that you do have something to hide, Mr. President. And firing James Comey only made it worse for you. So whatever you were trying to accomplish, it backfired on you. And I hope they dig out what's really happening, because I, as a citizen of the United States of America, don't support you. I will never support you. And I think you're a liar and a cheat. And I think you're doing horrible, and I hope that you will not serve out your term because you are a liar. You are the ultimate dishonest, discreditable president we've ever had, and you have total disrespect for the First Amendment and the freedom of speech. You always criticize the media and the press, insinuating that they're fake. You are the fake Donald Trump, and it's about time you realize that. My son is autistic. He relies on Medicaid. He also relies on my Social Security disability, and he is aged out now because he graduated his school. So he has to go out on his own Social Security disability based on my 35-year work record. I worked 35 years, Donald Trump. I paid my 6.2% FICA tax and my 1.45% Medicare tax. The rich don't pay anywhere near 6.2% FICA tax. You and the Republicans are crying that you're going to run out of funds in Social Security, when the simple answer is to take the cap away and have the rich pay their 6.2% on their salaries. That is what's fair. But you insist to not only leave the cap, but you also are for cutting the taxes, slashing the taxes massively to benefit the ones who are most wealthy. So not only are they not paying their full share of 6.2% on their FICA salary that they never did anyway, but they're also benefiting from paying less federal tax and state tax. And you have this ambitious plan to rebuild infrastructure, to rebuild the military. So where are you going to make the cuts? It's clearly obvious that your agenda is to hurt the people who most need the programs in place. You want to eliminate food stamps for the elderly and the poor and the needy. You want to eliminate Social Security disability for people who work their whole lives, paying into the system at the maximum rate of 6.2% for FICA and 1.45% for Medicare. There is no cap on Medicare. There should be no cap on Social Security FICA wages either. The rich are getting too much favoritism, and it's about time they pull their weight. You need to realize that the disabled people are disabled and cannot work. I have mental illness. I've been out of work 4 years. I cannot be forced to work if I can't work. I take medication that does not allow me to drive. I am out now because I did not take my nighttime medication yet, but I took my morning medication and my afternoon medication, so I was unable to go outside because it helps me with my bipolar disorder, but it does not allow me to function properly. So I cannot drive a vehicle, I cannot make heavy duty decisions, I cannot perform the tasks that I once did as a CPA. I have to see doctors on a regular basis. I see a psychiatrist and a therapist. I am also struggling with depression, mental illness, bipolar disorder, suicide ideation, and I also am the cherry of all cherries, male to female, transgender. So if you look at my situation, you are already against mentally ill people, you are already against disabled people, you are already against transgender people, you are already against people who are not working, and I have a legitimate reason why, because I have a disability that impedes my ability to work, and you're against people who need Social Security, disability, and Medicare. So according to you, I have 5 strikes against me, and you would rather take away the money that I live on, that I paid 35 years into the system at 7.65% with employer contribution matching. And you're ready to take that away from people like me who worked hard our whole lives. I worked 35 years, while you take no action with regard to the wealthy. You allow them to pay the minimum amount that they possibly can on their FICA wages, and you slash their federal taxes, and you want to take our benefits away from us. Well, I have news for you. If you do such a thing, you and Mike Pence will lose your support base, because many of the people who voted for you are struggling medically. They depend on Medicare, Medicaid, disability. If you take that away from them, you are going to be ousted from the White House. And you should be aware that you're already very unpopular. You may think that you have a base behind you, and you may think that you're raising money now for your re-election bid. But if you make these changes and you cut into the heart of America by eliminating what they deserve, you are going to be the most unpopular president that has ever served in office, even more unpopular than Richard Nixon. And that is a hard thing to accomplish, but you're well on your way to making that happen. And you only have one person to blame, and that's you, Donald Trump. Or should I call you Donald Chump? Because you don't care about people like us. You only care for you, and you think that you have a base of people. Well, wait until you attempt to hurt these people with these changes that you want to make. That will not go over well at all. And the Republicans better watch their steps. And they're all chicken shit, if you ask me. None of them have any guts to stand up for their constituents and tell you what's on the line. They're all a bunch of chicken shits, as are you, Donald Trump. You suck.